Now some rustling sounds for those of us with tinnitus. Isn't it great when brands actually listen to their punters? Greetings good people, and a very warm welcome to you all. So this is the Blue Planet second generation created by CIGA Design, and it has been updated based on the comments and criticisms of the first iteration by us, the punters. And I'll tell you all about that in a moment. But first, let me update those of you who have not been introduced to the CIGA and the Blue Planet. Prestigious Swiss horology awards are usually won by prestigious Swiss watch brands, but in 2021, CIGA Design, even as an outsider, won the Challenge Category Award with the Blue Planet first generation at the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. And ever since, CIGA Design has been riding that wave to create many different weird and wonderful timepieces. I myself had the pleasure of reviewing several of those creations. The Blue Planet first generation is also now a permanent addition in the Geneva Museum of Art and History in Switzerland as the first ever Chinese brand to be displayed by the museum. Now some of you may have seen me review the first gen on the channel, and one of the most frequent complaints that I read in the comments was regarding the small, illegible indices, especially for people of a certain vintage, including myself, whose eye bulbs have lost some of their wattage. Some of you may already be jumping up and down and pointing at the screen. Look mom, they've added lume. Well, they've also made the indices bigger, 105% bigger to be exact, according to CIGA, or in Old English, it's double the size. So that's the first gen on the right, and you can see the size difference to the Gen 2 on the left. As you can see, highlighted in green, previously some of the indices were very hard to see due to the reflective mirrored finish, causing the light to bounce all around the place, but now the indices have a non-reflective white lume. So that's definitely a tick for this new generation. So what else is new? Well, the dome sapphire crystal is more domey, and the titanium is now shiny, and it also has a deployment clasp with the fluoro rubber strap. And accidentally, that all rhymes, so I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. As you can see, the old globe looks like a flat pancake, but this new version has a more pronounced globe, which in turn required a more domed sapphire glass to cover it all, and it looks kind of awesome. The blue of the ocean is also a more richer royal blue, and the silver landmass also has more of a luster to it, but the map is still of the southern hemisphere, and a lot of you said that CIGA should also do a northern hemisphere version, so we'll wait and see if they listen on that front. We are all proud of our own landmass, so why shouldn't they be proud of theirs? And their reasoning for using this part of the globe is to show the ancient Silk Road, but I think it would be cool to have an option if you're trying to target people from all over the world. Now the old titanium case has a brushed satin finish, and this new case is also titanium, but there's no way they've managed to polish up titanium to look this shiny. I've seen other brands use a top coating to make the titanium look mirror polished, but CIGA assure us that they have meticulously polished the titanium to achieve a high sophisticated luminosity finish. But I have to say, this shiny finish married with that gleaming domey sapphire glass provides a beautiful flow to the whole piece. The case is still 46mm wide, which sounds scary, but doesn't actually look that big due to the lack of lugs or crown guards. However, with this new double dome sapphire glass, the overall thickness is now around 17mm compared to around 15mm on the previous version. It also has a clear exhibition case back, which I think is mineral, as there isn't any mention of it being sapphire in the literature, but that's okay. Unless you have scaly dragon skin, your human skin shouldn't scratch that up, as that's where it will be sitting most of the time. So as previously, the band is an ocean blue fluoro rubber strap, which provides that flow with the blue ocean dial. The strap has all sorts of technology, such as being antibacterial, anti-oxidizing and so on, but this time it comes with a deployment class as opposed to a simple buckle. So most of us will know by now that the Blue Planet has an unorthodox method of telling the time using no hands, or sort of a one-hand method. The time is indicated via a static hour track and a dynamic minute track. So here you can see the minute track has moved to the 12 o'clock hour track, and the compass rose points to the minutes, telling us that it's 12 o'clock. And now, as I adjust the time, you can see how the minute track moves away from the static hour track and the compass rose moves to point to the correct minutes. So now the time is 12:41. 12:41. Easy once you know what's going on, really. Now I am a little bit surprised that they've changed the movement on this version. The previous movement was based on the ETA 2824 and was adorned with all sorts of detailed finishing, but this movement looks more like something based on a Citizen Miyota movement, which I recognize from the balance cock design. But CIGA have said they spent the past 3 years researching and testing over 100 different movements to find a more improved movement with a higher stability gear train to incorporate and cope with the Blue Planet's asynchronous movement technology. Now I've only just received the watch and haven't had it running for long, so it still has jet lag. The first gen Blue Planet was advertised with an acceptable accuracy range of -15 to +30 seconds a day, so in relation to that, this movement is absolutely fine. The movement, however, does take to a good fiddling, so I couldn't help but fiddle with it and manage to regulate it to perform much better. Now CIGA have stated that every single piece will have a stringent and precise quality control process, including 2 14-day simulated wear tests, one conducted prior to assembly and another after production is complete. Now, due to its flowy pebble design, the watch wears very effortlessly and looks good with formal or informal attire, but I would definitely reserve this for a more dressy occasion rather than something I'd beat up for everyday use. So will the new changes and upgrades cause people to go out and buy a Gen 2 Blue Planet? And was this iteration really necessary? Well, that's a bit of a silly question really. When you have a successful product, it's natural to bring newer iterations. This is the case with many other watch brands, car brands, and even movie franchises. Did Audemars Piguet stop after the first Royal Oak almost 50 years ago? Did Patek Philippe stop after the first Nautilus or Aquanaut? Did the Fast and the Furious movie franchise stop after the... Okay, that's a bad example. That should have been buried after the first one. Did Rolex stop after the first Submariner, GMT, Daytona, or Datejust? Every year or so, they make minor changes and release another iteration of something that is popular and desirable, and the punters keep lining up outside of the door. The interesting thing here is that CIGA is a young brand, so those of us who follow these releases, events and review videos kind of get to be a part of that watch's journey and history. In a way, it feels like we get to steer some of the design decisions of the company. So I was keen to review this one just to see how much of your comments and criticisms they actually took on board, and in 10-20 years time, if they're still churning out Blue Planets, then we can all look back at these earlier versions and say, I made a comment on Joe's video and that's why this Generation 20 Blue Planet is the way it is. I was actually supposed to review a different Blue Planet which looks insane, but the brand had some scheduling issues, so instead I was given this one. So I can already tell you that there is another one already in the pipeline, and the dial on that one is very different. I won't spoil it, you'll just have to wait and see. So let me know what you guys think of this piece and the journey so far of our one little Blue Planet. This one is scheduled to be released on January the 5th. I'll leave all the details and links in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you found this one useful. Ta-ra!